realize that retired General Chiwenga has made numerous successes, especially during the G20 summit. He went there, he managed to, I mean, we saw him meeting with Paul Mashatile, organizing a bi-national commission between South Africa and Zimbabwe. That would be in January. Not only have we seen him doing so, we saw him also being given a platform to make a speech during the G20 summit. Quite a well actually penned script that appealed to the members of the G20 summit, as well as his supporters, and a lot of them began to commend him that he is becoming more of a presidential material. I think online he has gotten a lot of support, leading to, let me just, one supporter of retired General Chiwenga saying, remember those days in Kipo Stadium, supporters would shout, Sapu Refu, Sapu Refu, meaning crowd favorite player warming up is ready and fans can't wait to see him in action. Mkanya is ready, Sapu Refu. So this appears not to have actually occurred well with Themba Mliswa, who decided to take this particular supporter of retired General Chiwenga and wrote a long essay. And remember, what Themba Mliswa post is definitely instructions that he is getting from his boss, who happens to be Mr. Jones, Emerson Tambuzo Mnangagwa, according to the name he was actually portrayed by on the Al Jazeera Gold Mafia documentary. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So let me read what Themba Mliswa has said, responding to the supporters who responded to Chiwenga's speech today, saying he is like a player who is warming up, and the supporters are really seeing that this player should get into the field, and they are actually shouting to the ref, sub ref, so that ref can actually turn his attention to the sub and whistle the whistleblower to actually allow the player in the field. So Themba Mliswa says, the opposition has consistently grappled with the perplexing reality of its recurrent defeat to ZANU PF. Despite seemingly commanding substantial control and backing on social media, the underlying reason lies in ZANU PF's adept maneuvering of its extensive party apparatus to maintain dominion over ground realities. The same opposition aligned constituency now fervently championing VP Chiwenga's bid to succeed or even usurp President Mnangagwa. I think he used wrong English there. I think he was trying to say usurp power from President Mnangagwa. Is repeating a critical miscalculation, mistaking the glamour of social media to internal party endorsement. Listen to this. I like what he said, because Themba Mliswa is very, very poor at actually thinking, and thinking that the people of Zimbabwe have actually poor reasoning like him. He says, succession is primarily an internal party matter, necessitating robust support from a defined constituency. He is lying. It is, I mean, having a large constituency supporting you has never actually, has never in ZANU PF translated to someone getting power. We saw, I mean, Robert Gabriel Mugabe in 2017, he had a lot of support in 2017. He had numerous supporters in 2017. But at the end of the day, what we saw happening is that the military decided one day, in spite of having supporters, to actually call the shots. So I've said in Zimbabwe, this politics that is played by Mnangagwa and the Zwikanandas, it's a very, very dangerous politics. It doesn't determine succession within ZANU PF. Historically, it has always been the military. Military does not have a constituency, but it has been the factor that actually defines who take over from the incumbent in ZANU PF. This thing that Themba Mliswa is talking about, acting like a wannabe political analyst, is poor at it. So he says robust support from a defined constituency entrenched within party structures. This has never helped anyone to survive succession in ZANU PF. That is the point that must be underscored. It is not a mere exercise in popularity, but rather a pragmatic endeavor which requires securing unwavering allegiance from specific individuals, not random ghost accounts. So he says, this reality makes me the only one brave enough to have told VP Chiwenga practical truth about his ambitions. So Themba Mliswa is all of a sudden calling himself brave. We will see when this bravery will actually last, and whether this bravery will at the end of the day yield the desired ambitions of Themba Mliswa. He says he has to gain support of those in the party structures, beginning with his own province of Marsh East, instead of feasting on the platitudes of an external and foreign structure. And also this Themba Mliswa coming on retired General Chiwenga in such a manner, it shows that Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa is not pleased with the performance that retired General Chiwenga did at the G20 summit. He acted like a presidential material. He acted, in fact, like the president of the country. That is why this person says, remember those days in Kipo Stadium? Supporters would shout, "Sub ref, sub ref," meaning crowd favorite player warming up is ready and fans can't wait to see him in action. And I think this it has actually evoked more support for him. A lot of his supporters watching him, even opposition supporters watching him performing at the G20 summit, saw a presidential material almost next to what Robert Gabriel Mugabe used to do on international forum. One thing about, I don't like Robert Gabriel Mugabe, he was a detector of note, but when he took to the international stage and actually delivered the speech, you would say you would see a presidential material out of him. That is why he was feared globally. That is why he was actually respected globally. Though people did not like Robert Gabriel Mugabe, but a lot of international players could actually sit and listen to him because he was unambiguous when it comes to actually relaying the national policies as well as the posture of Zimbabwe at a global stage. Compared to Mnangagwa. Mnangagwa, you would think it's someone who is doing, a very, very tired, old fellow trying to master a poem while delivering the speech for the nation. While this is a person who is supposed to actually take investors, take world leaders into confidence so that they can actually be convinced to bring investment, the necessary needed investment into the country. Zimbabwe has lacked that, but I must attest to you, watching that video, was it a 5 minutes period that Chiwenga was given? That speech, was vigor, and that speech had some degree of power. compared to Mnangagwa when he's reading speech, you would think maybe, you know, there are potatoes in his throat that are making it hard for him to speak. I don't know what would be really happening. And then Themba Mliswa goes on to say, all those posturing about his popularity on social media are not a factor in the structures that actually matter. That his political ambitions will never come to fruition until and unless he gains internal structure. So this is the prophet, false prophet, Themba Mliswa, saying the ambitions of retired General Chiwenga would never be fulfilled because he doesn't have support within the structures of ZANU PF. This is what he is suggesting. Zukananda have been able to deal him blow after blow simply because they have managed to gain control of structures that matter while he is being misguided by important frenzy of social media. I think this is an escalation by Themba Mliswa. Obviously, we know that Themba Mliswa is owned, and we know the owner of Themba Mliswa. That is why he knows he will speak like this and he will be protected. Now, let me read about 2 or so comments from the people who commented on the essay of Themba Mliswa, as confused as it was. They say, that being said, it doesn't explain why Chiwenga is being the one to attend the first ever Africa host of G20, even with his wife, yet it is a disgraced Mozambique. Is Chiwenga proving that he is now the prime minister like Mugabe started off with Banana being a ceremonial president? And then another person says, where you said party apparatus, what you really mean but cannot say is that ZANU PF uses state apparatus to cling to power, i.e. the army, the police, the judiciary, and of course the electoral committee. Someone says, Mr. Sapu, ZANU PF wins election by use of state security apparatus. If you remove that and give them equal opportunities, ZANU PF would be history without much campaign or organization by opposition. Someone says, can you share a relevant succession story within ZANU PF since the days of the liberation struggle? I think that is a very, it's a good question where they are asking him to share a relevant succession story within ZANU PF since the days of the liberation struggle. Someone says, ZANU PF is just abusing state apparatus, state funds, and making the gun lead politics, which in many views literally means Zimbabwe is a military state. Someone says, by opposing, are you referring to Sengezo Chabangu's ET creation? Someone says, no to 2030. Mugabe wanted to be life president. Nasi Tiripi. So these are the commentators that were making comments after Themba Mliswa actually decided to fire a missile to the man who has never actually returned a missile back. But, you know, at some point, retired General Chiwenga said, the day of reckoning shall surely come. Themba Mliswa sees Zikananda's winning, and I'm sure also this is the false actually posture that is being, or demeanor that is being portrayed by Zikanandas, that at the moment they are seemingly winning, but we haven't actually touched the finishing line, which will determine who exactly will be the winner. That would be recognized by everybody. So Themba Mliswa not actually digesting well the achievements of retired General Chiwenga at the recently held G20 summit in Joburg. It was a successful event. I'm sure Trump also looking at that. He wished he attended that particular event because South Africa went all out. and it proved to be a power, a superpower, particularly on the African continent, and did represented the African continent well and made sure everybody was exposed to this first historical event. Someone was asking, why would Mnangagwa miss such a very, very important historical event and choose to go to Mozambique? If I was, Mnangagwa is not a politician. He doesn't understand politics. Maybe if I was him, I was going to go to G20 summit and send Chiwenga to Mozambique. But we're always making poor decisions. That is why those poor decisions would be consequential at the end of the day. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Okanqube Umhlabane is signing off. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast as I give you more.